It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
There's only 2 teams that BYU basketball has not defeated since joining the Big 12. It's Texas Tech and the Houston Cougars. BYU gets a chance to take down Houston tonight. Tip-off at 8:30 at the Marriott Center, and BYU looks to end a 3-game skid as they welcome the top 10 Cougs from Clutch City. And to get to know these Houston Cougars who are quietly going about their business at 20-2 overall, get to know these Houston Cougars, I was joined by Kris Gardner. Houston Round Ball Review covers Houston basketball, and this is my conversation with Kris here on Cougar Sports Saturday. How would you assess how this season's gone for Kelvin Sampson's squad?
Mitch, thank you for the invite. Thank you for thinking of me. It's, I guess, gone as expected. The wins have, well, let me backtrack. The wins, they probably won more than I thought they would based on how many new faces, not just the freshmen like Kingston Flemings and Chris Senack and Isaiah Harwell, but also the guys like Chase McCarty, redshirt freshmen, guys who are in new roles. I mean, even Emmanuel Sharp is a leader now. He's a team leader. So more was expected of him. So I'm surprised they're 20-2 right now. It took a while for them to adjust to defense, Houston Cougar defense, Kelvin Sampson defense. And I think they are finally getting that part of it down pat where everybody's on a string. So that's, I think, going to be a key going forward for the rest of this season.
Well, that's what I was going to follow up with, Kris, and you kind of led me into my next thought. You know, the last 2 games, Houston's allowed 55 points or less to its opponents. So do you feel like it's starting to show signs, this defense, of what we've grown to expect in the Big 12 from Kelvin Sampson's teams?
It's starting to show signs, and it's guys that are finally getting healthy as well. JoJo Tugler, and I'm guilty of this, and I've covered the team for years. JoJo Tugler missed the summer because of surgery on his foot. So he didn't practice with the team. He was getting around campus on a scooter. So nothing in June, July, August, September. He got cleared late September, October. So his timing has been off for November, December, a lot of January. So he's just not rounding into shape, and he's one of the best defenders in the country. So combine his injuries with Khalifa Sacco's injuries, and Khalifa Sacco's a newcomer as well, so he had to learn the system. And Isaiah Harwell was injured, coming off surgery. So all those guys missed summer workouts. So they were behind where everybody else was playing and practicing and learning the system and getting used to everything. So now I think the team finally getting healthy is another plus helping the defense.
Do you think this year's team has more offensive firepower than recent years? And last year's team was really good offensively, and I think underrated nationally. I think people kind of always frame Houston as just a great defense, no offense. Last year's team was so explosive, but do you think this might be one of the best offensive teams Houston's had in a while?
Yes, I do for sure. I think the ceiling for this team offensively is much higher than probably any of the previous years under Coach Sampson. You have different guys who can score one-on-one. Kingston Flemings has shown he's a walking bucket. Chris Senack is a pick and pop guy as a big man, 6'10". He's got a 3-point shot that he's becoming more consistent with. Mala Suzanne took him a while to adjust to playing off the ball with the ball more in Kingston Fleming's hands. And Emmanuel Sharp is one of the streakiest 3-point shooters in college basketball. And once he's on, he's on. You wouldn't teach his shooting form as a coach to anybody else, but it works for him.
Talk with Kris Gardner, Houston Round Ball Review here on Cougar Tracks as we get ready for the All Cougar matchup Saturday night, BYU and Houston, top 25 clash in the Big 12. And last Saturday, BYU was in a high-profile prospect matchup with A.J. DeBonsa, Darren Peterson. This go-around, it's, as you've noted, Kingston Flemings, who should be a lock to be a top 5 pick next summer. I'm curious, Kris, was it expected that Kingston was going to be as good as he is? I mean, maybe that's a high bar as a freshman, but, came in with some high accolades, top 20 recruit nationally, but has he been better than anyone even could have imagined how good he's been this season?
He's been better than I imagined. I'll say it like that. One of my colleagues on our podcast, who's an alum and former pro player and played at the Coogs in college, Robert McKeever, he saw this and he told us in the offseason that he thought Kingston was special. And he's reminds us almost every show at how right he was about Kingston Flemings. But ironically, in October, Coach Sampson told the media that Kingston would be back for his sophomore season. And Kingston Fleming said at that time he'd be back for his sophomore season. Fast forward to now, there's no way. No way. He's a top 5 pick, top 6, whatever you want to say, top 10 at worst. He's going to the NBA. He's one and done.
How do you think Houston defensively attacks DeBonsa, who, like Fleming's going to be a one and done, and Richie Saunders as well, who's entering his senior year? How do you think they try to defend these two for BYU?
Emmanuel Sharp cannot guard both of them, so he'll take one of them. And then I'm curious to see who's going to guard. Let's say Emmanuel guards AJ. Well, that leaves Richie Saunders, who I'm very high on. I think he's going to be a solid pro as well. That's a tough cover for Chris Sinak. I don't think Chris can do that. Will JoJo Tugler get that matchup? If JoJo does it, JoJo has to stay out of foul trouble. And he has had a propensity this season to get in early foul trouble a lot. So will Coach Sampson and staff risk that? Or they try Milos Uzan. Milos is not the athlete and not the great defender one-on-one that the other guys are. So I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to defend both those guys. And then, of course, Rob Wright, I think that'll be Kingston Fleming's assignment. And that's a tough task for a freshman on the road. So we'll see.
How do you think, Kelvin Sampson's handled coaching up a younger team than we've grown accustomed to with Houston having, Sinak and Fleming's 2 freshmen being key guys? How has he adjusted to that, or how has he handled coaching a freshman-heavy team?
He still coaches them like any other. He teaches them all the same. He has the same expectations, no low turnovers, defend and rebound. And he has spoken very highly of Chris and saying how Chris looks him in the eye, has never had a bad day of practice. And that's important as freshmen. And these guys came in highly touted. But once they come to the program, they're like everybody else. They're not treated like 5 stars. They still have to earn their stripes here in the program. And that's one thing Coach Sampson makes clear. It's his program. You will acquiesce to his coaching style or you won't play. Bottom line.
Last thing for you, Kris. Again, Kris Gardner, Houston Round Ball Review. Check out his fine work. You can see him on X as well. What's the ceiling you think for this year's Houston team as you continue to move forward, even beyond this BYU game on Saturday? What's the ceiling of this group, you think?
I think this team can go to the Final Four. This team can win the championship. Unlike last year's team, I really believed, it doesn't matter because it's college basketball and it's one and done in the tournament. Last year's team, I think, would have won a series 3 out of 5, 4 out of 7 against Florida. This year's team, I'm not sure that's the case against Arizona, for example. I think Arizona is the best team in college basketball. But, Mitch, you know this. Come tournament time, all you have to do is win one game. Beat that team and move on to the next round. And I think this team can win 6 in a row and get that first championship in program history.
And that's Kris Gardner from the Houston Round Ball Review to give us the lowdown on the Houston Cougars. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll start to dive into this BYU-Houston matchup and see who's in, who's out for this matchup, and set the stage for tonight as we count down to tip-off between BYU and Houston. Mitch Harper, Kyle Ireland with you here on Cougar Sports Saturday, and it's powered by KSL Sports.